And with no further ado, I'll introduce Penny and Nicole. Okay, good evening. My name's Nicole and this is Penny, and we're the online collection people of the Australian National Maritime Museum. Our job is to upload, share, research, interpret and write about the collection. But one aspect we found probably the most rewarding part of what we do is our work sharing the museum's collection, photographic collection on the photo sharing website Flickr Commons. We wanted to just give a couple of examples of how the community on the Commons has really just added layers of meaning and value to our collection, really in ways that we never thought possible. And I wanted to just start off with what is probably my favourite photograph in the museum's Sam Hood collection. And as soon as I saw this image, I knew it was special. Annoyingly though, I knew when and where and why the photo was taken, but for months I had no idea who this woman actually was. So I had put it up on Flickr Commons, guessing her identity, knowing I was completely wrong, but hoping one of our super sleuths, as we call them, would come forward with an answer. And lo and behold, breakthrough. One of our Flickr followers identified the mystery lady as artist, designer, socialite and all-round fashionista Hera Roberts. Hera designed many of the covers of the Art Deco magazine, The Home, and she was described, quote, as an uncommon beauty with cameo-cut features and an amazing flair for dress. And this was the story, we had to publish it in the museum's magazine Signals. What the story really demonstrated to us was how valuable this online community is for our collection. Our followers comb through the images we've uploaded and update them with their own research every single day. They added layers of meaning to each photograph, revealing that there is much more to these images than first meets the eye. And this leads me to my next story. I discovered this photograph in the collection and was intrigued. I knew it was taken on board SS Marinda, but that was all I knew. So I entered those search terms and discovered that it depicts Australian film actor Brian Abbott and his wife Grace. And it turns out this and another photograph from our collection were the last photographs they took together, because a month after it was taken, Brian went missing attempting to cross the Tasman Sea in a motor launch. But the moral of the story is I might not have found this information if it wasn't for troves of digitised newspapers. And what added further meaning to this was discovering the collection held at the National Film and Sound Archive of Australia. Not only did they have photographs of Brian posing next to his motor launch at Lord Howe Island, but they have the film he starred in too. And it's a really terrible film, by the way. And I encourage you to check out, there's clips available at Australian Screening, but I'm just going to show you one part of a clip now, which I think just sums up how utterly ridiculous it is. So, we could just... So that's Brian Abbott, the hero.
Look on the horizon, Reverend. Well, they'll soon over here. Here goes.
Don't build up that fire yet, can't you?
Why not? Well, why not, man?
Well, I'll tell you.
You know what?
Yeah. That man also
I like you.
You do?
The first time I saw you, I said to myself, there goes an old crab. Yeah. But you're a good sport.
Sure, I'm good. I thought that you were the matter.
No. Peaceful cracker, that's me. What's your name anyway?
Primrose.
Primrose. That's a beautiful name. Beautiful. It just suits you.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just one snippet of that beautiful piece of cinematic goodness. And so thanks to the National Film and Sound Archive for that one. But in a nutshell, in 2011, we were getting between 6,000 to 10,000 views per month. Last month alone, we ranged between 12,000 and 36 views per day. Hero Roberts is still our most popular photograph, and in total, we have had 2.6 million views since we joined in 2008, 2.4 million of which we achieved not long after Penny and I started religiously updating the feed every single day. Essentially, our followers get online every day because there's someone on the other end to talk to. We appreciate their efforts by turning these stories into blog posts and articles. It's a small way to repay the endless hours they spend on our photographs. But the community is growing, the stories keep coming, and the discoveries continue to amaze us as they take on a life of their own. And on that note, I'll pass you on to my partner in crime, Penny.
Thanks, yeah, so we've had a lot of really fantastic discoveries via our Flickr Commons collection, such as those that Nicole has highlighted. But I thought I'd talk about some other ways in which sharing our images online have really opened up some lovely connections to some really great community groups. So this is a photo of a yacht called Myra 2, taken in 1951. Now, when I started here, I knew absolutely nothing about boats, and that hasn't improved hugely, but I can now tell port from starboard. And I've also picked up some other important things, such as if you're an old salt from around the Sydney Harbour, your name is probably going to be either Bob, Bill or Brian. And I've also learned that you can't underestimate who's going to use your online collections and in what way. And in fact, that's really where the fun is. So I came across this photo while cataloguing for our online database, and at around the same time, our vessels expert David Payne was involved in a project to build a replica of this vessel. So in his spare time, he was working with the Australian Open Skiff Trust, who have a fleet of replica classic boats, and they decided that Myra 2 was significant enough to rebuild because in 1951, the vessel was a world champion, and it basically won everything there was to win. Now, Myra 2 was designed, built and skippered by this man, Bill Barnett, and Bill's a bit of a legend in Sydney Harbour. He's built 2 America's Cup Challengers, one for Frank Packer, but in 1951 he built Myra 2, and Bill is still around, by the way. He's 98 years old and he still lives above his boat shed in Berks Bay. So initially David's job of drawing up the designs was made really difficult because a fire in 1971 in Bill's boat shed destroyed all of the designs, all the models, and the original Myra 2 had long since disappeared. However, after we found the photos of Myra 2 in the museum's collection, David was able to redraw his designs with great accuracy based on the level of detail in those images. And so the boat came to life, based on the photos in our collection. And this is the builder, Bob. Here's the museum's photos. These are our photos hanging up in Bob's work shed over David's designs. So because of the interest surrounding the project in the yachting community, I put the photos of Myra 2 up online on the museum's Flickr Commons account, and the response was absolutely fantastic. I received emails from people all around Australia, from yachting historians in New Zealand, and even boat builders in the UK. And they all had the kind of knowledge that really only comes with a lifetime of being passionate about something, and they were passing that knowledge to me. I also got phone calls from boaties who actually didn't have the internet or even a computer, but people were printing out the images from Flickr and just sharing them around. So for me, the digital outreach was increasingly becoming face-to-face outreach. People with information about the photos would drop by the museum for a chat, and David and I were also invited to a tribute day in honour of Bill Barnett and to raise money for Mara 2. David gave a speech and I buttered the bread rolls, which is also a very important job. And this is a photo of David and I in our Mara 2 team t-shirts. This is Bob and Bob. This is Bill getting his team t-shirt from Bob. And this is our photos on display on the tribute day. And then back in February, I got a phone call from this guy in the centre in the white hat. It's Brian Stewart. He's the young Baylor boy of the champion 1951 team. And he's now in his 80s and living in Brisbane. In this photo, he and Bill are collecting the championship ribbon from the Spectator Ferry. So as Brian explained to me in our phone call, he had just got this Google thing and decided that he would try punching in the term Mara 2 and to see what happened. And of course he came across our Flickr photos. So Brian and I chat regularly now, and I keep him updated on the project. He's also had some of the Flickr photos framed, and in a few months when they launch Mara 2, he'll be flying down to Sydney to be a part of the ceremony and also to catch up with Bill, who he hasn't seen for 50 years. And this is Brian in the Mara 2 team t-shirt that I posted up to him. And he took the photos on his iPad. It's very modern and sent out. And just as a way of finishing, this is a photo taken only a week ago. So that's Bob and Bill, the boat's original designer, sitting on the very nearly completed Mara 2. And so in all of this, in this experience, I have to say that I didn't expect that working in digital outreach was going to turn into so much fantastic face-to-face outreach for the museum. And I think, as Nicole pointed out, the important thing really seems to be that there is a human voice behind the stuff that you put online. I was also really nicely surprised that the use and engagement with our online collections was coming from a perhaps unexpected segment, mostly older blokes who I really hadn't initially considered as internet users, but they certainly are. And the other lovely thing is for the 1951 images of Mara 2 in our collection, the story doesn't start and end in 1951. It's still going, in fact, and that will be represented in all these digital photos that we're still collecting. So on that note, here's one of our favourite images from the collection, and we thought it might inspire you to go home and explore the Flickr Commons. We don't know who he is, so if you have any suggestions, if you know him, please let us know. And on that note, we're going to kick over to the real stars of tonight, who are our stellar guest panellists from a number of different interesting institutions in Sydney and Canberra as well. And so we're kicking off tonight with the powerhouses Paula Bray